I just ran the dryer with nothing but a sock in there. I don't know where my head is at. I got distracted, thought I put the wet laundry in the dryer, and nope, just put a sock in there. Full dryer cycle and nothing but a dry sock. Mistakes are easy to make, and when it comes to skincare, there are skincare mistakes that many people make. So we're going to go over some really common skincare mistakes. And no, it's not going to be the same old tired mistakes that you've heard. The number one mistake that I'm seeing a lot on social media, people over relying on personal anecdotes from their favorite influencer, from their mother, from their aunt, their uncle, personal anecdotes about what someone found helped their skin. And this is a slippery slope. Personal anecdotes and testimonies are actually very useful when it comes to us making a decision on whether or not we want to buy a skincare product, right? Like if your friend says, don't waste your money on that, I tried it, pilled all over the place, or don't buy that, the fragrance is so strong, you're like, oh, thanks for warning me, I do not like strong fragrances, there are 1,000 other creams here that I can choose from. That's really where you want to rely on what your friends are saying, what people on social media are saying. Maybe you're interested in a particular product or you like a particular product, it's just too expensive and you want something that behaves similarly. That's really where you want to rely on other people's anecdotes and testimonials. But when it comes to skin conditions, whether it be acne, blackheads, rosacea, things that pop up on your face, relying on anecdotes can get you in trouble because a lot of people's anecdotes are simply associations. Many skin issues spontaneously go away on their own. That's really important to remember when someone claims, I have been dealing with this forever and all of a sudden once I started using this cream it vanished overnight. Sounds really promising, except if you know the backstory behind skin diseases, then you're not the least bit impressed by that because first of all, anything that is actively treating is going to take time to work. It's not going to erase problems overnight. And some problems go away on their own overnight. So there can be overlap there. And that's why, you know, when people are like, I don't care that there's no research behind this. It's worked for my grandmother, it's worked for my aunt, it's worked for my uncle. What does it mean that it worked? Personal anecdotes and testimonials can be helpful though when it comes to someone just telling their story, you know, a testimonial about their experience with a topical medication or having a skin condition. It can help give you some information about things that maybe you didn't think about as far as a side effect, things that you can then take to your doctor, the prescriber, and say, does this happen? Should I be looking out for this? And they can address it. So it can be really helpful to hear other people talk about their experience with a medication like tretinoin and hear what they went through. But don't let that scare you away from things. Take that information and use it to then ask questions of the person who knows the answers. And that's going to be your healthcare provider. Don't rely on anecdotes to guide medical decision making. Number two is really common. We are all doing it. Don't deny that you do this. It's allowing physical attractiveness to make us believe that person. Appearance does not equal credibility. It's a really common thing. I mean, everyone does it, so much so that we all know that if we want to get a job, we're not going to go in with our hair all a mess and wearing our pajamas. I mean, if you go into a job interview looking like that, don't be surprised when they say, yeah, thanks, we'll call you. Appearance matters a lot. But when someone is recommending things for you to buy, whether it be for your skin or anything, and when people are talking about beauty treatments, when people are talking about diet habits, workout routines, you really have to work very hard to ask yourself, am I listening to this person because what they're saying is factual and educational, or am I listening and believing because this person is nice to look at and surely they must know what they're talking about? It happens a lot. There's so much competition on social media now more than ever to capture people's attention. The more attractive someone is, the easier it is going to be for them to stop you in your tracks. Attractive people attract our attention. It doesn't mean what they are saying is anything other than just words coming out of their mouth. It's especially a problem now more than ever because A, we're looking at random strangers on the internet trying to get our attention to buy or try try different things all the time. But it's so easy to fake being attractive. You could use a filter. You can edit Facetune videos. People do this. I don't, okay, I don't. I'm not saying I'm better than other people. I just want you to know I don't use any kind of filter or face tuning kind of thing. But people can. I mean, it's pretty easy to fabricate physical attractiveness in a video. So always make sure that you stop yourself and say, hey, is this person actually credible, or are they just a pretty face? But if an attractive person is telling you doctors don't know what they're talking about, doctors just prescribe drugs, these drugs are toxic, they're poison, I had Botox poisoning, like what? Most of these people are just out there selling you a bunch of nonsense. Fortunately, even if the credentials are solid, it doesn't always mean that what they're saying is good information either. Always check yourself with who you're listening to. Doesn't mean that every attractive person or every person who doesn't have the right degrees doesn't have something to offer. Check yourself that you are not blindly following people largely because of the way they look. And this includes dermatologists. Just because a dermatologist has an active skin issue going on does not mean they don't know how to treat skin. Like, there's nothing about going through dermatology residency, getting board certified, practicing dermatology that eliminates skin disease for that individual. In many skin conditions, you know, they're going to be something that has to be managed on an ongoing basis, and that person's skin may look the best that it ever has. But you have such high expectations of people, thanks to social media and all the attractive people and all the people with filters, that you've missed the plot. Don't let attractiveness be what sways you, especially when it comes to medical advice. The number 3 one is another one that's really hard to hear, and that is you need to let go of the idea that there always must be a cheaper alternative. This is something I fall into the trap of all the time, because let's face it, when it comes to skincare products, that's pretty much true. If there's a moisturizer out there that's really expensive, chances are you can get a product that feels pretty similar and is going to reduce transepidermal water loss just the same at a fraction of the price. That's like a big chunk of my channel, right? Is affordable skincare options. But when it comes to skin conditions and skin diseases, I think people don't view the cost of medical treatment as attainable, and they think that they can hack some other alternative. And it's very dangerous, because a lot of people, for example, might feel like they can't afford to see a dermatologist. They have some lump on their skin that is bothering them because of the way that it looks, and that they're going to just take matters into their own hands and try and remove it themselves. And I've talked about this before, that is very harmful, because it can leave you with problems much greater and much more expensive than the initial bump would have been to have the dermatologist remove it. So for example, skin tags. A lot of people want to try to remove their own skin tags, and sure, a lot of people will be successful doing that and it will cause no problem. But for every 10 people who do that, 1 or 2 are going to have a complication: bleeding, infection, scarring. And the real dangerous one is that sometimes you might have what you think is a skin tag, but is actually a skin cancer or something more concerning, and to attempt to remove it yourself is not going to be the way you want to go, because then it's going to grow back and look odd, and it's going to make it challenging not only on visual inspection to get a handle on and diagnose for the dermatologist, but on histologic biopsy. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on there muddying the histologic picture. So it's not a good idea to try and remove your own moles, for sure, lumps, bumps, skin tags, for this reason. I know it's tempting with things being so expensive, but like I said, you can be left with a very, very costly mistake. The other situation where people are tempted by less costly alternatives and it really can backfire is in the realm of cosmetic procedures, and especially depending on where you live. Some states not so strict with the practice of aesthetic medicine, and so a lot of times you will find that the cheaper alternative comes with a price that you may not know you are signing up for. What cost are they cutting to be able to offer you this procedure for less money? Is it in their qualifications? Is it in their training? Is it in the fact that maybe they don't have the equipment necessary to manage complications that could arise? Don't cheap out when it comes to cosmetic procedures. I've seen a lot of bad outcomes from this. For example, intense pulse light. Great tool, lots of amazing uses for it, can really get people great results. But a great tool in the wrong hands can permanently damage someone. Also, filler. There are serious complications that can happen with filler. For example, blindness, not to mention infections. Now that's not to say that more expensive must mean better. You gotta, really vet the person. Ask them the right questions. Check out my video on questions to ask before having a cosmetic procedure. Here's another one that's also hard to hear. Sometimes you just have to accept that there's not a solution for a given skin problem. Many of the treatments might just be for symptomatic relief. Because we have so many skincare products, it's easy to assume that surely there must be something out there. It can be a really hard truth to accept, that sometimes there's really not a true intervention to get rid of something. A lot of people don't want to believe that, and because they don't want to believe that, don't get it twisted. There will be people out there who will tell you exactly what you want to hear. Doctors don't know. Doctors don't know anything. Try this cleanse. Try this pomade I made. Try rubbing lard on your face and it'll get rid of it. You'll spend a lot of time, money doing stuff that can potentially just backfire and cause more skin problems. It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes because having skin issues is very, very distressing, but it's one that you gotta accept. The other one is one I see a lot, especially this time of year when the weather starts getting better, and that's only using sunscreen and thinking about sun protection when you are on a beach vacation, when you're out at the beach, when you're at the water park. While sunburns in those situations are common, we see a lot of sunburns in people who were just going out to get the mail. Their neighbor walked by, they got caught up in a conversation. Next thing they know, they look down, they're getting burned. It happens all the time. That's why I'm a big advocate of sun protection on a daily basis. Wearing sunscreen is part of your everyday routine. It just becomes a habit so that when these situations pop up, you're a lot less likely to burn. Now, of course, there are all sorts of caveats when it comes to sunscreen. You have to apply enough of it. You have to apply it to sun exposed areas. You gotta reapply it if you're gonna be out there longer than 2 hours. That's really when a lot of people end up getting too much sun, getting a sunburn, or just accumulating a lot of sun damage that adds up over time. So that's why I'm a big advocate of wearing sunscreen on a daily basis for these situations that do inevitably pop up where people get caught off guard. And that's really where a lot of the burns end up happening, especially when the weather starts feeling nice. Like maybe it's been real dark and dreary and you're like a moth to light, and you want to be out there, and the idea of coming inside just seems ridiculous. Make sure you're protecting your skin from the sun. Even going out to the grocery store, loading up, you can get a lot of sun in the parking lot. Reflects off of cars, shiny, hubcaps and things like that. It really can add up in a way that it either results in a sunburn or cumulative sun damage. All right, guys, those are the main mistakes I see people make all the time, and some tips and tricks on how to avoid them. And I hope this video was informative. If you like these myth-busting videos, you're going to want to check out my video, which I'm going to put on the end slate, where we talk about the myth of ingesting vitamin A for acne and all sorts of other nonsense. So check that one out next if you missed it. But if you like this one, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.